the Lung, I think it's tried and true. Definitely something it's very strong. But Scars with the Dahlia Yuan, I like these two picks. Nice little combination to start themselves off.
Yep, it also opens up many doors. We could potentially see a Gan and Mo coming in for the side of Scars, right? The refresh goes in heavy for that Celestial Melody. You could even go with the Shangguan as well. But right now, Nongshim, I like this. It is going to be taking up the Yixing and taking the Zhang Fei as well. Yixing, if you don't know, is actually one of the most terrible heroes to go up against. A good Yixing wrecks your entire team. 1v1 maybe not as much, but his passive on the sliding stones, oh my goodness, it is so painful. I've been using it in rank daily. Okay, maybe not the best win rate, but he is a monster.
No, I mean, there's a huge learning curve, right? But he has so much potential to be that game changer, right? Being able to control the battlefield, super important. I think that we've seen a shift in terms of, you know, Honor of Kings heroes that have been coming out, in terms of the Shi and as well as the Yixing here, being able to kind of just control what's going to be, you know, coming at you, and being able to put somebody out of position, guaranteeing that kill is absolutely massive because it completely changes the meta.
Yep, and I like the bans on both sides, right? They want to get rid of the huge tanks. It's really hard to deal with. Yes, there's a lot of potential burst damage. I think more so on the side of Nongshim for this Lung. You know, late game, he is an absolute monster dragon for sure. But at this point, right now, Scars, I think they need a little bit more beef. They need a little bit more tankiness in their draft. Sure, with the Arashi one, she is survivable, but who's going to protect them from the barrage of hits coming in from Kyong, as well as the sliding stones coming from HaKu? It's a difficult one to defend against.
Yeah, tough situation. But look, I like it how Nongshim has the Zhang Fei, the Umbrella Outburst. You kind of have that push and that control. But with taking liberties from the Yixing, it's like a nice 1-2 combination. If they're able to wombo combo that and just completely shift people in and out, I think that you're going to have a really good time, especially against, you know, Scars, which they tend to be a little bit more, you know, sustained. You have the Yuan up in front, the Marco Polo obviously looking to blow people up. But if you're able to split people up, take out the squishier ones, even your Unending Sorrow is really not going to do much if you're completely out of position.
I'm just super worried for both, no, not both, but three. Kai, ASD, and Ochik. They are at the risk of being controlled for at least 4 to 5 seconds or even for days, right? If Nongshim pulls off this combination and potential Sunta, it's stun galore, right? There's no way you're getting out. It's a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, for sure. And look, Nongshim, this draft, way stronger. Kyung plays an amazing Sun Tzu. He's on point with that one. You know, you're talking about the Musashi here, also very good for them. This is a team that's not willing to lose, right? They're not going out. They're going to look to go with their best foot forward on this one, ensuring that they get this one, especially since you need to get HaKu going. I felt like he didn't have as great of a game in game one. And this is one where you're going to let him shine to deal with this. But again, let's talk about Scars. Last pick, Menki. Is that enough tankability to keep themselves in this game?
I think now the question is not about tank anymore. Right now, Scars, they have plenty of damage as well, right? So Kai, Feng, Arashi, and ASD, the 4 of them deal a lot of damage against the likes of Nongshim Red Force as well. So it really comes down to, once again, right, who gets the advantage in the jungle? And if it's going to be, you know, blow for blow in terms of gold, there's no advantage. I think it really then comes down to who gets more stuns. And both ends, they have plenty of stuns, let's be honest. Dream Roam, they have the Tragic Beauty, they have, you know, okay, they don't have a stun coming out from Marco because he has taken Purify. I think that's a good idea. Looking at it's a 5-man stun combination from Nongshim. Yeah, so we'll see. Minor mistakes is going to change this game.
Yeah, minor mistakes. But going into this one, look, I kind of am worried more on the Scars side. I think that, you know, the Menki, the Yuhan, they're kind of similar in role, right? In the sense of just kind of being up front, being that tank and kind of having that control. But I feel like this is a team that's really lacking in the offensive side, just being able to blow people up. I think there's going to be a lot more pressure on Kai to ensure that he's, you know, supplementing the damage with MFeng, because both of those guys are going to be the damage dealers. They need to kill everybody.
All right, so if you take a look at the stun potential, right, the range of stuns coming in from the side of Scars, I think it's just a little bit longer reaching compared to what they have on the side of Nongshim. right? Kyung, yes, he does have the ability to jump in, get the stuns as well. He does have the set steal. Longest range of stun probably is going to be Illusion. Or if you want to count Duel to the Death by HaKu, that's good as well, but that's an ultimate, right? There's plenty of stun opportunities coming up from ASD on the G1, and I think that might be the difference maker for the side of Scars. Now, at the same time, let's take a look at what's happening on the side of Nongshim, right? Nongshim, I think they have a pretty decent way of controlling the farm, because MFeng going up against SIRI, it's a skill matchup, right? Right now, Feng needs to make sure he stays at an appropriate distance so he doesn't get hit by the flaming palms, doesn't get hit by the riding in the wind as well. And I think so far, it's a pretty decent lane for SIRI. Right. And at the same time, right, I think right now, slight advantage going into Nongshim might translate into a bigger win if SIRI gets his way. He hits 4 first, right? I think there's a couple of miss coming in from Feng on to the minions in the lane as well.
Yeah, this is going to be important. I mean, if we're looking at the bottom lane, 3 members ensuring that, hey, SIRI or MFeng, both of these guys need to get farm going. So we're going to kind of zone out, make it uncomfortable, or give them some space to actually farm. I think SIRI, he can start to pop off. At some point, SIRI is going to be very comfortable being even solo on this loom. I think he's very good with him, but it's one of those things where get him a good start. I think that we saw what happened in the last one where Scars were able to kind of take the fight early. They were able to push things on, put a little bit of pressure on you, and Nongshim were very reactive in that first game.
Yeah, but it's not looking good for Scott, right? Every single thing is happening now.
They found him, and HaKu, he's going to look to just kind of be backed off. That World is my board is doing a little bit of work, but, Bridal Outburst used a little bit late. The set sail, the boat came coming a little bit late. Yes, it connects on the 2, but really not too much. A whole lot of ults were committed on that one, but no real kills.
Okay, but nonetheless, Nongshim Red Force, they are in the lead, right? All 3 lanes, they have the level advantage. Not sure whether they have the full goal advantage for all 3 lanes, but definitely financially they are ahead, right? So Nongshim Red Force is a good start to the game. Right now, it's can they find the kills?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where you're putting pressure on. I think Nongshim, if we're going to talk about some of the heroes of familiarity, these are probably some of the top heroes that they've been on. They're very comfortable with them, and losing lane, or even in the early game, I don't really see that, right? So Scars, they need to figure out ways to get farm in other ways, how to get themselves, how do you get MFeng going? How do you, get Arashi enough survivability so that he can kind of push things in? I'm more worried about Scars' late game damage. I feel like they're lacking in that department. But if they're able to do better in the early game, obviously this is a game that they can win.
Oh, well, the gang needs to be successful here because MFeng, he's not going to have any damage until he gets the Spark Force Dagger, right? Until then, I mean, he just got it. 4 minutes is a little late, but maybe this first objective is going to change the state.
This is going to be huge here. And again, Nongshim doing a much better job. Umbrella Outburst, perfect. Pushing them back, making it uncomfortable. They get the Stampede on top, the duel to the death. He has to actually roaming gun over the wall, but now HaKu might have been out of position. Arashi looking to go. He does have his Dream Bubble, and that's going to be the end of that. And that is a perfect team fight for Team Nongshim right there. Being able to take that Tyrant, pushing them away, and not losing anybody, that's great.
Yep, some people might argue, hey, no kills is actually a big win because they got the objective, and look at the damage they're putting down, right? Ochik now forced to go back home, and now this means Feng is alone in the lane again, 1v2. Hang on, I think it's a huge risk by Ochik, but it might work out for them.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a risk here. Maybe he just kind of sits in that wave breaker to kind of keep himself sustained. He needs to kind of push because, again, look at the pressure that Nongshim is putting on. They're forcing it back, not even able to go. The set sail is going to be used, trying to connect. The roaming gun will keep him alive, but they take the bottom T1. Great start for them. Kai looking to go. The Death and Sunset connecting on. The Meteor Kill knocking him up. The World is my board. It's going to lock him down, but the Unending Sorrow, again, the Infinite Fastness, he wants to go. They've already got the first blood, and they're going to continue on with all this damage. They're trying to run, but Ochik is down, ASD as well, and now Arashi's on the run. He's been forced away by this Ferali. Faye chasing them to the ends of the earth, but they've got 4 members down, and Arashi will live to see the day. But again, his team in a world of hurt.
Yep, the sequence of events have been beautiful from the side of Nongshim. The fact that they took out Ochik as well as ASD first, very beautiful, very calculated play as well, because there's no heals, right? There is no Monsoon Tempo for the stuns, there is no Tragic Beauty for the damage, and as well, there's no Wave Breaker to get the heals in, no more refreshes. I mean, they did get the Celestial Melody down, but they gave it to Kai, right? And Kai at this stage, she doesn't do that much because everyone else, HaKu is already at level 10 now. 3 levels ahead of Kai. There's no damage you can do on the backlines.
Yeah, no damage. And, you know, again, it's one of those things where you got to get Kai and MFeng that farm, right? They don't have the damage to do it, and you're forcing it. Like, again, Marco Polo not great in the early game without some of those items, right? He's going to suffer. It's only 6 minutes in. You should really not be looking to take any sort of farm. Unfortunately for Scars, that means you have to play a little bit more defensive. You got to farm in other manners, but you can't be taking on those team fights. Giving it up at this point, absolutely huge. 4 kills, and now they have a 3K net worth lead. Nongshim, right now, definitely in the driver's seat.
Oh yeah, but they don't really have a choice, right, on the side of Scars, because MFeng needs to join the fight. If he doesn't join the fight, they lose it flat out. And you know what, maybe if he joins, there is the potential of the outplay as well. But right now, I think Nongshim, they have just successfully funneled gold both into SIRI as well as HaKu, and that's why they're winning so hard.
Okay, the Umbrella Outburst, he completely whiffed, but the set sail, that will connect the flash over the wall. MFeng looking to fight with this. Excuse me, that was the roaming gun. And it looks like he's going to do a little bit of damage. Scars will survive on this one. Some ults were definitely committed, but Nongshim putting the pressure on, making it uncomfortable for Scars.
Yep, difficult position, right? MFeng actually had to use his Fever Barrage defensively, and that's not something you want to see, right? If you're a Scars fan. And right now, 1v2, he does not care HaKu.
HaKu actually smites it out, takes it out. I mean, there were, what, 4 members of Scars, and they couldn't even just prevent him from doing that. That's the story of Game 2 thus far. Nongshim really striking back. Again, this is the Nongshim that we know, right? This is the aggressive team. Take no prisoners. We're going to invade your jungle. We're going to take everything from you, and they've done a great job. Now, Scars, again, need to figure out ways to get some sort of farm. Right now, they've been struggling.
They can't, right? The way that Nongshim are playing, they can't, because right now it's free entry into the jungle on the side of Scars, and there's very little they can do to stop it. At this point, HaKu hasn't been forced to use his Blood Rage at all, and that's a very scary notion to think of, because as Scars, you want to be at least in the position where, hey, we are threatening you enough, with enough damage that you have to back off. But right now, there is no such reality for the side of Scars.
Yeah, no reality. And look at how HaKu went in. It was just kind of more like a feint more than anything else. They take the top T2, all that space created, and Nongshim really makes them pay, right? They take things out, they force it out. The world that was my board. Oh, nice taking liberties, pushing them back in, just kind of controlling the battlefield, forcing, you know, Arashi to play an uncomfortable one. He wants to be controlling the team fights and the positioning, but when he's being pushed around with these stones, you're going to have a tough time.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I would very much prefer, if I'm on Scars, I want ASD's ultimate to be used offensively, but right now it's always used defensively, and all objectives, all neutral objectives have gone the way of Nongshim Red Balls as well. This might be a big fight. HaKu is looking for blood.
Looking for blood, but they're not able to kind of connect on that taking liberties, and so it looks like Scars will continue to just poke and prod, just kind of take whatever they can. They need to defend these things, and HaKu looking to go in for this, but they've taken the bottom T2. Nongshim taking no prisoners, forcing it out, taking all of the objectives as well as the enemy jungle. This is a tough game for Scars to get back into.
Yep, I'm not sure if I missed it, but Arashi, if I'm not wrong, he got that Overlord's Plague Mail. And even before, he was not tanking too much, right? And the fact that SIRI now has a Star Breaker, he was already dealing a lot of damage. And we know late game Lungs are a monster. They're hard to deal with. And right now, it's close to 10 minutes. Shadow versions of the objectives are coming out, but SIRI is already a beast.
Series already a beast, and that's the scary part, right? We talked about the fact that, hey, getting in that farm, being able to just kind of do that damage, Series just able to blow people out, and then of course get that infinite fastness on out of there. He had that get out of jail free card. Again, tough situation right now for Scars. They've lost yet another objective here. Scars, if there's any one last hope, is that they still have that mid T1. I think that is a huge objective for them. They need to ensure that it stays alive so they have at least some space to farm.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to trade it out because the T3s are more important, and right now, Nongshim Red Force going for the top lane to try and break the base, break a hole into it.
Yeah, but you know, again, Scars defending well, dealing with the minions. Nobody's up close. They hold on this point. Their T3 is going to be fine at this point. Arashi is going to deal with the mid. So Scars finding ways to kind of get at themselves at least a little bit of breathing space.
Yeah, okay. Some silver lining, I guess. MFeng actually gets the frigid charge. There is a potential of a nice fever barrage with the frigid charge stun as well, but it's not going to be easy to achieve right now. T3 being threatened on the top side of the map as well. Nongshim Red Force having so much control. 12 minutes into the game, or 11.5 minutes into the game, they are up about 6,000 gold.
Yeah, forcing it out, right? I mean, really no space to farm. Oh, taking liberties. If that connected, that would have been a huge issue for MFeng. He does survive. He needs to just get as much farm as possible. Oh, no! The Resplendent Revolver completely missing the Siege Catapult. That's a low light for him, but still, I mean, it's still very early. It's still 12 minutes. Scars has ways to get in. It would help if they were able to get some sort of miracle steal on this Overlord, but Arashi spotting it out. The world is my board is going to be committed to kind of zone them away. They're trying to force it back. They're going to actually get out of this one. Arashi dream roams back to safety. And while the Overlord did reset, nonetheless, they've kind of pushed them back. They know exactly where Scars is.
Now, that was not the biggest the world is my board, which means the cooldown for the ultimate on the side of the illusion is going to be pretty quick, right? So we might see a reset onto his ultimate in, what, 15, 20 seconds? And that's going to be a horrendous situation for the side of Scars because they still have not figured out what they have to do to try and counter all of the damage of the heals, the shields coming in from Nongshim Red Force.
Yeah, just way too much at this point. And I like the fact that Kyung9 is kind of pushing the bottom lane, right? Just forcing it out, putting a little bit even more pressure for Scars to have to go back and forth and to kind of defend that T3 bottom, which is open. So again, just more pressure and space created elsewhere means that this Overlord is probably going to be even more free, as it looks like Scars aren't even going to try to contest it.
Yep, and when we last checked, right, SIRI was at 9,000 gold. He is about a few hundred gold away from completing one of the most damaging items in this game, the Siege Breaker. So once SIRI has that, it essentially means game over if Nongshim Red Force gets the stuns that they want.
But he's been just free farming, right? He's been able to do whatever he wants, and just getting all that farm. He's been on point, just pushing them back, and it looks like, look at this. Arashi all the way up in front. He does have the Dream Bubble. He's going to run into Kyung, who does a little bit of damage, but again, just a feint, right? We're going to take the mid T2 out of that space created, and that diversion by Kyung, pushing them back. Now Scars down, get another T2. They have none left.
Okay, so Pure Sky on Arashi, they have the Redemption on Ochik as well, so there is some survivability. But the dream condition, right, a dream situation they're looking for is for MFeng to hopefully just burst down SIRI. That's a nice stun, but it's not going to achieve too much at this point. They already have the map control, right? So, yeah, we'll see. Scars, they need a miracle, and they need it in the form of SIRI dying. So, someone needs to step up.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to figure something out. The world is my board just to kind of zone them. They have the Shadow Tyrant that's going to be pushing in that top lane. But Kyung is in the mid, and he's looking to probably just rotate to the bottom. But they have not been able to find SIRI. His positioning has been great. The Infinite Vastness is, again, that get-out-of-jail-free card. So it's really tough to kind of lock him down. You need to ensure that you have the rest of them. And if you're looking at Scars, how do they lock him down? Where is the control?
They do have it, right? So you have Arashi, he can come with the Dream Roam. You have ASD, he can come in with the Tragic Beauty, along with the Mournful Temple as well. But it's a risk, because when you jump in, you are setting yourself straight up for Illusions, the world is my board. And we all know how that hurts. So, honestly, I can't see how Scars can come back unless Nongshim Red Force make a huge mistake.
It's going to be a huge blunder at that point, right? I think that if anything, somebody, like, they need some space. They need to kind of split push. They need to figure, just slow the game down in some way. Let Arashi kind of stay up in front and just clear those minions so that it kind of stays off the T3. Not the easiest thing for them to do. Arashi getting on the low side, very tanky, but he's not really doing any damage in return. The world is my board is going to be... SIRI, that nice little pick. He gets to ride the win, but not really too much damage to follow up. The Resplendent Revolver is going to completely whiff. And again, just pushed it out. Scars did a good job of holding, but here comes the next minion wave.
Okay, I want to point out one interaction that happened just now while you were talking. SIRI went a one-on-one against MFeng, and he essentially almost one-shot MFeng.
Yeah. It's going to be close, but the bottom T3 has been taken out. The Unbridled Outburst shoving them away.
Oh,
Growth is my board. It's going to be used on this one. They're going to try to go. Kai thinking about going in, but he found Kyung, the worst one. The taking liberties, pushing him back, doing a little bit more damage onto Kai. They all survive, but that bottom T3 has been taken out. That is a hole in your base. How does Nongshim close this game out? Is it going to be one T3 at a time? It looks like they will back off, and they will probably look to do so.
It's a struggle, right, for the side of Scars, because let's be honest, they are almost at late game itemization, but they aren't able to find any opportunities to go in onto the Nongshim Red Force backline. Faye has been really stingy with that Unbridled Outburst, and for good reason as well. Right, the shields coming in from his jump is really big, and right now, so much pressure coming in for the side of Nongshim Red Force. The next few neutral objectives are going to be really huge. Scars needs to find a way to win them, steal them, but at the same time, they need to make sure they maintain the security of their base as well.
Yeah, and this is where I think the split pushing would, kind of help them, right? Obviously, we can talk about it because we're omnipotent in the sense that we have that vision, right? We know what's coming in the bottom lane, but I do think that they need to provide a little bit of pressure. Somebody needs to be somewhat aggressive, maybe a little out of position, just kind of just force things, Nongshim to kind of, react to what's going on and to deal with all three lanes as opposed to the top and the middle, which they seem to be just really focused on.
I mean, they're doing the traditional, right? They're doing the traditional Death at Sunset, refresh with the Celestial Melody, double Death at Sunset to try and go into the backlines. But Kai is not able to get the damage in by no fault of his own. It's just the draft on Nongshim Red Force is so tanky.
Tanky, and again, just the lack of damage. I really struggle with this Scars lineup. I'm having a hard time finding how they're able to blow anyone up. You talk about the win conditioning being on the SIRI, but how are you going to walk into a Kyung, Zhang Fei, Musashi, like HaKu? Like, it's tough. Everybody can just go in and just blow you up. They have so much control. The world is my board. Even on this one, the Unbridled Outburst pushing them back. They're trying to chip out that top T3, get a little cheeky on this one, and they eventually will do the damage, and they take this one out. Again, look at how Nongshim, they're almost at full life with everybody.
I mean, at this point, Illusion is just putting up a musical concert, right? With the ding-ding-dings. I mean, at this point, it's a ringing of bells. All the ticks are being checked, right? And right now, I think Scars is just a matter of time. Because Nongshim, I genuinely do not see any way that Scars can win coming in for the next few minutes.
Yeah, it will be tough here. I mean, especially with these tournaments here. But okay, let's talk a little bit about MFeng on this Marco Polo. At what point are you like, hey, I've hit critical mass? This is when we can start blowing people up. Because again, I feel like he hasn't really had that space or time to farm. But, at some point, he's going to get that next level, right? Where he's able to kind of just blow people up. But before we get into that, the duel to the death, they push him back. They do a little bit of damage on this one. But again, Nongshim don't look like they're going to fully commit to this fight.
Yeah, it's just a simple tango at this point, right? They don't need to overcommit, and I think this is what makes Nongshim so scary, at least for this year itself. Because Nongshim, the past Nongshim would have just gone all in. The Nongshim of today is really critical, very careful about what steps to take. They don't want to overextend. They don't want to make that blunder that will allow Scars to come back. They understand that it's not that easy to lose against Scars, but it's still possible.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, but not dying a single time right now speaks volumes thus far. I don't want to jinx it at this point because they've been playing so well, but look at this fight. The set cell connecting onto two. They have Arashi all the way up in front. Yeah, he's tanky. The Infinite Fast is even aggressively going in. Arashi's going to be killed. ASD is down as well, and they have the taking liberties. They do actually get a single damage or single kill onto Faye. That's a win for him, but now Kai, how is he able to kind of deal with this? Kyung9, still very tanky, still very much alive at this point, continuing to fight. It looks like he's going to walk into HaKu. No, they're going to let him solo 1 versus 1, and Kyung will have the victory. And MFeng all by himself, they take out the base, and Nongshim strike back. They take game 2.
Yeah, this is definitely the Nongshim that we know. Not as dominant as we've seen, right? They've taken a little bit of their foot off the gas towards the later part of the game. But Nongshim Red Force, this is what we know, what we expect coming in from the Korean team, right? And I think Scars, they try. But I agree with you, the draft, late game damage, big concern.
And this is more of my concern because, like, the more experienced teams and kind of having that ability, like now you're down 10 heroes, right? And then the enemy, Nongshim has even more bans coming into this one, so they can focus on some of those picks, make it even more uncomfortable for you. Now you have to go super deep into your hero pool. Are you able to pull out victories against a team like Nongshim, or even Scars in this case, both sides, to play at a high level to deal with these heroes? Because again, this is the brilliance of global ban. You have to be that good.
Yep, and a lot of meta picks from the last year itself coming into 2025, they're gone. So let's take a look at the stats. I want to look at the itemization. I mean, we were concerned about the damage, or rather you were concerned about the damage. I thought there was going to be enough damage, but it turns out I was definitely wrong here because Kai...
Wait, sorry, what did you say?
What?
I just wanted to say, I wanted to hear you say you were wrong again. Can I just hear it again? It was brand new to me. I don't think I've ever heard you admit it. Can I just?
It's okay. It's okay. Kindoufu is ready to admit when he's wrong. It's no problem. But yeah, there was not enough damage. Kai was consistently on the back lines. He did his job, but there was nothing he could do against the likes of Kyung, against the likes of Faye, and even for SIRI, right? The Infinite Vastness I've rarely seen in professional gameplay, at least for our side, where they go in and they survive, get a couple of kills, step out, no problem.
Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, when the most damage is being dealt by, Arashi on this Menki with 130k, the rest of the team just really struggling. MFeng doing what he can with his 83,000, but it just, item-wise, just a space to get that farm. Tough situation, right? This was a all Nongshim game. This is the game that we expected to see in game 1, and I think draft wise they were they fumbled a little bit on that one, but Nongshim really back into it, right? And they've eaten it up. They've turned this series into now what is essentially a best of 3. Again, going into this next game going to be super important because you want to be up 2-1. I think Nongshim have really struck back. Really good, well played by Nongshim here.
Oh yeah, they definitely flipped the script, right? Game 1, Scars, they took, if they left nothing in the wing, not even breadcrumbs, right, for the side of Nongshim. This time Nongshim says, you know what, I know how to play that game too, and Scars got absolutely nothing out of the map.
I mean, look, after game 1, there were, Nongshim was kind of like, hey, we need to do a much better job of securing neutrals, and you're seeing the fruits of that labor, right? They've completely changed the strategy. They forced it out. They won the early game, plus they started to compound that with the big neutrals that they were able to take, and just kind of take that lead and just to force them out. It might have seemed like, hey, they're not getting a whole lot of kills, but when you control the map as well as Nongshim did, that's exactly how you close out games. You don't give up anything, and that's a almost, dare I say, perfect game by Nongshim.
Oh yeah, for sure. Different flavor for a different game. I mean, Nongshim definitely have many faces, and this is one of the more dominant ones, right? Too much spice to handle for the side of Scars. So let's see, as we go into the third game of the series, I mean, in order to win this whole series, it's about who gets 3 points first, right? 3 wins first. And Nongshim, if they continue playing like that, I think we could see really strong performances on the side of Nongshim.
Yeah, and I love the fact that they were able to bounce back. Now, in game 3, I'm expecting the Scars to bounce back on that one. I'm hoping that they're kind of seeing some of the weaknesses of that draft. They come in a little bit stronger. Maybe they have, the next set of, a little bit more balanced draft, I think would help them in terms of giving themselves a chance. But again, this draft, super important. Now we're going to go deep, see exactly how these bans really work out. And it's one thing to kind of have your own heroes ready, but at the same time, you need to be able to ban out some of Nongshim's, right? I think that Nongshim's heroes in that game 2 was some of the best heroes that they play. So they actually went with their best foot forward. Going into game 3, going to be super important here.
You know what? Actually, I would like to disagree with you. I think the Nongshim, they have been playing safe. They have picked, in the past 2 drafts, they have picked very tanky heroes and executed them pretty well. And actually, that's what's really scary for me, because Nongshim, if let's say they just abandon the tanky strat, they go for burst potential, heroes like Jing, heroes like maybe even Mulan, right? I shudder to think, with the execution level on the side of Nongshim, what Scars is going to go up against. Because we are nearing the end of tanky heroes on the side of drafts, at least for me, in my opinion, right? So we might be seeing more flashy, more burst composition drafts. Fence.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna. I mean, I think that's again, we're gonna have to see exactly how they're able to kind of play that one out. If it's gonna be more the bursting type, But basically the background music is really throwing me off, if I'm going to be completely honest. You were talking about strategy and all this stuff, and I'm just hearing the Frozen song in the background. Like in the background, I'm just like, oh, how to, it's kind of fitting in with your strategy and your breakdown of how game 2 went on this one. But again, I think game 3, the draft, going to be super important. How they kind of proceed on this one. I think both of these teams really need to kind of sit back, take a little bit of a breather here, figure out what you're going to do. This is a marathon, not a sprint, as you once said. So it's going to be interesting. I think game 3 is going to be the one that really dictates the pace of this game, or how the series is going to end up going.
Yeah, maybe they're a little bit too tense, too tight, so they have to let it go at this point.
Yeah, maybe at this point. But again, look at that strategy, like the breakdown here, right? All the big neutrals being picked up. That late game, that gold graph just completely skewing in favor of Nongshim. That's exactly what you want to do, ensuring that they get themselves into this one. But now let's go into this one. This is the highlights for that game 2. Kind of started off strong for Nongshim. Really made it difficult for Scars to really get that farm. They were kind of pushed back. Look at how the positioning of HaKu and the rest of them. The Umbrella Outburst is coming right here. That was perfect. Pushing them out, making sure that Arashi had no chance to progress.
Yeah, this is what we know as the Nongshim special, right? The fact that they allowed themselves, for the side of Scars, to not be near the pit, it was a disastrous decision, because Illusion, when he is there as Lee Sin, it opens up the world as the board for you. Easy access. And multiple times, I think Illusion impressed me with the amount of people he managed to catch inside. People always underestimate the amount of damage the sliding stones does to you as a team, especially in team fights as well. And while they're busy dealing with all the damage coming in, HaKu and Kyung, the two of them were just crazy, flipping, weaving in and out, just buying space and time for SIRI to just do whatever he wants. And when you give the dragon what he wants, he is going to feast on the opponents for free.
Yeah, and it was just easy for them. I mean, going into that bottom T1, once that was taken out, and then the fact that Scars were like, hey, green light, let's go into this team fight, it just seemed like a really bad decision to kind of force that one out, especially since Nongshim hadn't used their ults until that other situation, like at that point. So it was one of those things where you just gotta